What is up, Retro Maniacs? Welcome to the Retro Card Chat Podcast. My name is Mike, and I'm from Mike's Retro Trading Cards. And you know what? I've been doing some thinking, and I think it might be time for me to retire from doing this podcast. Wow. You know, I might even sell the Mike's Retro Trading Cards brand. Hell, I might even walk away from cards altogether because I feel like I've reached a point in my life where I need to focus on what's important to me. And what is important to me, don't laugh, EP, is I want to make the PGA Tour. And that starts right now. But before I do that, I'm going to get counseled by these two guys, Joe Day and EP Eric Pahalik. How you doing, guys? And what do you think I should do?
Well, I was the only person in this on this panel who has thrown a golf club into a pond. I feel like you should not listen to anything I say about golf. Fair. So, Joe, take it away.
Fair. That's fair. I will say, not to spin off of what you already said, but to spin off what EP said real quick. I was watching a video on IG, and it was different ways to throw your golf club. It was like a 30-second clip, and I'm like, how did they not have one going directly into the lake? How is that not number one with a bullet? But
going into the lake and standing straight up with the handle sticking out of the water.
Like you
the greatest throw ever.
Oh, it was.
The thing is, I wasn't trying to throw it in the pond. I was just trying to throw it off to the side, but I missed my throw. And I couldn't even, if I would have tried, there's no way I would have been able to make it.
And it was straight up. Just far enough we could not reach it.
Yep.
So he was down an 8-iron or 9-iron for the rest.
Yeah, I think it was like a 7. Maybe,
I don't know, but yeah, that was hysterical. That was one of the funny moments on the golf course. To your point, Mike. Follow your dreams, man. You do you.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
I could turn this channel into a golfing channel.
That would be awesome. Actually, the three of us golfing, we need someone to follow us around. Let me drive the cart, though. That'll really get the views.
Okay. I wanted to throw this out here because I'm actually being 100% serious about this. I think for a channel goal in 2025 is I want to get another YouTube sports card content creator to come visit us and we record a round of golf.
Love it.
With them playing with the three of us.
Love it.
I think that would be fantastic.
They get to ride with Joe.
Yes, I'll drive them.
I've been watching, I watch golf YouTube all the time and like, I know how to shoot these videos. Come on, man. Like,
yeah.
I could do that. So how entertaining though. I see people with like 1 million subscribers that are just idiots like us, but they're idiots on a golf course instead of in their rooms here talking about cards. So I don't know.
I love it. I am in.
Let us know. Are you a content creator? Would you like to play golf with us? You do.
Yeah.
Whether you think you do or don't, you don't. You do.
If Dan the Card Man doesn't fly from Australia.
Do they have golf in Australia?
I don't think they do. I think
they
just play
weird
with
games.
I think they play golf with kangaroos or something. It's something like that.
Yeah.
Large bugs. I don't know. It's a dangerous place down there.
Gross.
So Dan, fly up.
Yeah, fly up, Dan.
Oh wow, that'd be fun. I'm in.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm 100%.
Yeah.
All right. Well, since we're going to try to do that in 2025, I guess I'll continue for now because that would probably that one video would probably catapult me to the PGA Tour. You know, the powers that be will see my golf skills and they'll be like, "Oh, we got to get that guy."
Mike thought he was out. Now we pulled him back in. Good job, Joe. High five.
Oh, how's it going, boys?
Well, it's going pretty good for me. Hold on. The Bears just scored another touchdown. Okay, it wasn't Cole Kmet.
Oh, I wish it would have been.
I know. I would have lost my shit. It's going real good. I'll tell you why. For the first time since I was 2 years old, Pitt football is 6-0. 6-0. Wow. Pulled a nail biter out at the end against Cal, who is in the ACC now, which is really weird. But yeah, 6-0. I'm over the moon about it. I was screaming. Poor Bailey doesn't know if it's good screaming or bad screaming. It's kind of a mix. Remember how crazy I was about fantasy football years ago? I definitely toned down with that.
Really?
Except for Cole Kmet here randomly. But
Yeah.
but for the most part, Rob's actually got me to calm down about my fantasy football teams and like, chill out. I've taken that and put it into pit football. So every Saturday is now craziness. But 6-0. I'm so happy. In fact, I'm gonna have myself a drink. I'm gonna have myself a Bloody Mary.
What's it gonna take to get Kenny to spin again? Like what's it gonna take for that?
No, absolutely. EP 6-0, no spinning. Why mess with the mojo? Don't do it.
I have a quick question. Since you're talking about Cole Kmet, since they played Sunday morning and it's Monday morning, when you left New Orleans, did you fly west all the way around the world to get back to Pittsburgh, and now you're a day behind?
So I flew around, Star Trek famously does time travel by flying around the sun. So I did the same thing. So I'm actually 1 day behind you guys. That's why I'm drinking it's 11:23 a.m. here in Pittsburgh today for you guys. And you can't drink all day without starting with a Bloody Mary. So I'm doing that. And actually I have off on Monday today for you. Tomorrow for me. I have off Monday for the holiday. So I'm going to be drinking all day to celebrate that. And Pitt being 6-0 in the top 25. They're in the top 25. Hopefully they move in the top 20 this week. But wait, let me know. Look it up. Guys, it's Monday. Can you look up to see if Pitt's in the top 20?
I can't while we're recording. I don't have
they are. They're number 19.
I crap my pants. They're 19, by the way. Pull back the curtain. This is a bit. If you weren't sure, this was a bit. It'd be wild if they're 19. But
don't question me. I'm in the future.
You are.
What's new and exciting with you, EP? You weren't at the card show yesterday. It was really weird.
Yeah, since we've established time travel is real and that it is Monday morning, I'm going to say that on Saturday, I didn't go to the card show because I have family home from Germany, and we had a little gathering. So I had some Fireball, and then I had some Jägermeister, and then I had 2 beers. Then I had 2 beers. Then I went to the party, and then I had a beer, and then I had some vodka and some mezcal, and then some vodka. Then when I got home, and then when I got home, I had 2 more beers. So that said, I'm still gonna have a beer here.
I was gonna say, drinking
clearly you're having the unofficial sponsor of the podcast, Rusty Rail Brewing Company, Mifflinburg, Pennsylvania. So this is their Fog Monster. I'm gonna crack it open and have a little.
Love me a good Fog Monster. As you were describing all those alcoholic beverages, it feels like EP was just a traveling tailgate yesterday, from the sounds of it. But mezcal, my man, I'm a big mezcal fan. I almost made a Bloody Maria with mezcal instead of a Bloody Mary. I do a really good mezcal mule as well. So next time we're hanging out, EP, I'll bring some mezcal. We'll have some drinks.
Well, the thing is, like, again, my brother-in-law's brother is home from Germany, and a couple weeks ago we were watching 60 Minutes. They did a story on how mezcal is made, and like the plant is ripened for 130 years. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to get some of this and bring it. And his birthday was on Sunday. He turned 50. So we're gonna do some more drinking on that day.
Mike's like, "What's alcohol?" I haven't drank alcohol in about 10 years. This has turned into a golf/drinking podcast in the last 10 minutes. But last point about mezcal. Mike fall asleep again. I actually don't have a last point about.
We don't really need any more points about it. So.
What's going on with you, Mike?
Anything new and exciting going on that doesn't involve alcohol?
Oh yeah, actually, I do have one. I won a lot of cards, 1,600. Well, I didn't win it. I got a second chance offer from my bid that I put in that I was going to stick to. 1,600 basketball cards, mostly base, but almost all 1990s stuff, including a 1998 Chrome Kobe Bryant card. So some good notable cards in there. I got them all for like 13 cents a card. So like really good deal. Was happy to get that. That's a nice little win there.
Oh, I have some too. EP, did you talk about last week? I forget. I was probably drunk because I was in New Orleans. Did you talk about you checking off one of the cards on your list for the cards I just shut up and buy?
I did. I did.
So go watch my Comp C video Mike, we posted it on Saturday, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Saturday. Yes. So we posted that on Saturday. Go watch it. I actually checked off one of the cards twice. Weirdly, I don't get bonus points for that. I don't believe, but no. I did get one of the cards from our video that we did a couple Wednesdays ago. We should just shut up and buy. I ended up getting a Doctor Strange Jambalaya, which is a very, very cool card. So happy to add that to the PC. Now I've got to get the Offerman autograph and the Nimoy and Shatner dual autograph. So that's, I mean, nothing big. I mean, I got the low hanging fruit, I think, right? Or did I get the biggest one? I don't know, but yeah, Mike, you're one behind.
I don't even remember what was. I'll have to watch the video again to see what I was gonna buy.
I forgot what my third one was for a hot second, and it came to me.
This is what happens
when you get old. Yeah.
Since Joe mentioned channel content, check out his ComC order from Saturday, and check out yesterday. I dropped the second episode of how much money how can you make a profit ripping retail? Not how much money can I lose. They're different. Like sometimes you win, right? Maybe at some point.
Well, we'll find out eventually, I hope.
But yesterday's video, I ripped 3 blasters of 2024 Score Football. And, when you pull a CJ Stroud out, you have to remember that it's not a rookie card anymore, even though there are other products still being released that it is. It's just also confusing. But yeah, check that out if you haven't yet. Fun little time with that. I have how much I made and lost from this product, and I have my running total in the upper right-hand corner. Whew, yeah, this is going to be an interesting experiment. Also, starting on October 22nd, running through October 27th, that's Tuesday through Sunday, I am finally running my Football Mania football stack sale. Going to be a big time on Twitter. Follow me on Twitter. I'm at Mike's Upper Deck 1, all one thing. Check me out. It's going to be awesome stuff. I don't like to hype up my sales too much, but I have so much really cool stuff. I promote it. I don't hype it. There's a difference. Okay. I'm hyping the stuff I have, and thinking about maybe doing a little preview video on the channel here for it. So I don't know. Maybe or maybe not.
It'd be good content.
If you would like to see that, like what I do in a stack sale and like what kind of cards I have and what prices they're going to be at, let me know. I'll shoot the video just going through the different cards that I have. I mean, even if you just want to see cool 90s football cards, let me know, because I do have some cool stuff. I have spent a lot of time finding the cards for in the sale, and I'm kind of happy with what I have. So excited to get that one going. But yeah, that's all that's going on in my world. Anybody else have anything, or do you want to get into the news?
Let's dig in.
Let's do it.
Okay, well, I don't know if this is actually news or not, but I found this incredibly interesting. On Twitter, there is a user, Grand Salami Sports Cards. Apparently, they had a 2022 Finest Flashbacks Shohei Ohtani autograph card. It was a gold auto, and it was graded a PSA 9. He went on Twitter and he tagged PSA, he tagged Nat Turner, and basically told them that this grade is wrong. This card is absolutely perfect. I looked it over. The surface is perfect. The corners are perfect. And while the card is a little bit off center, up and down, he is like, there's no way this is outside of the 60-40 range that you have listed for a PSA 10. So, of course, we see people complaining about cards all the time on Twitter, right? But not very often do you see them tagging PSA and Nat Turner and saying, you're wrong. This is a 10. This is not a 9. And then PSA changes the grade of the card. Apparently, if this story is legit that the person is telling, and if it's not, check them out, not me. This is their story, that PSA then took the card and they changed it to a 10. So are we in a world now where all you have to do is say, you know what, guys, you guys didn't get this right. Can you just fix this for me and take care of it? I can't be bothered. You're wrong. I'm right. Fix this. this where we are? This works, right? We're going to do this from now on.
So I'm
can of worms, right?
Right. I'm going to let EP go first because I did actually, when I'm super bored, I will listen and I have nothing else to listen to. I'll listen to his secondary lesser podcast. Okay. So I don't want to take any thoughts that I might have heard from him away from him. So I'm going to let him go first.
Did they steal my topic?
I think so. I dozed off a little bit. I almost wrecked.
He took this topic to the other podcast and recorded it before we did.
I don't do any.
No, he doesn't do any planning for that.
I just show up. I just show up.
Ingalls did it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to block him on Twitter.
No, I mean there's so many things to talk about with this topic. The first one, the first obvious one to me is, and we were saying in the text message, Mike quoted Joe Day saying you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. And for me, it's like in newspapers, we publish something online, it's published, like it's or it's in the print, it's not coming back, it's out there. And so this is happening. If you see a card that fits that 60-40 range, I guess you call out PSA and see if they're going to redo it. I mean, the bottom line is they have 60-40 in their rules on their website saying this is how we grade the cards. If the rest of the card is perfect and 60-40 is, if it's the centering is within 60-40, like call them out on it, because I mean, they feel they've opened the door to that. Secondly, the customer service people are probably losing their minds over this because they're just going to be so busy as if they weren't busy enough with phone calls as it is. Now they're going to get all these people calling up. The Grand Salami. I'm not sure what else you're going to talk about, Mike, but he actually paid extra money for graders' notes so they could make sure that the centering was the problem. And so, people though who think that their card is going to be a 10 are going to be calling regardless of the graders' notes part of it. They're just going to everybody's going to be inundating them even more with calls, and that to me is insane. So yeah, the thing is, Grand Salami, good on you to do that for your customer. He was doing it for you, subbed it for somebody. Good on you for your customer. And PSA, good on you guys for following through on 60-40, but you opened up a pretty big can of worms for yourself, I think.
Yeah, this was I guess, a group submitter, and this was for a customer. It wasn't his personal card. And they did, like EP said, he got it and he resent it in at express level so he could see what the graders' notes were, and the centering was all that was mentioned. And he said that you're crazy, it's within, and it is within 60-40. Again, I don't know. I guess we can debate what should be a 10 and what shouldn't. It didn't. Right. I could see where it was off center enough that I would rather have one that's centered that's a 10, but that is what they have in their grading guidelines. So,
and the thing is, we've seen a lot of cards that were 60, we've seen almost perfect, that
we've seen like 80, 20s or 9s,
10s, right? And we've seen ones that were
Hulk Hogan 101. Was it the Hulk Hogan 101 famously got a 10, and it was wildly. It was 70-30. It might have been 65-35 at best. Yeah. So at first when I saw the story, I'm like, well, it's one person's opinion. It is what it is. Grading subjective. If you think it's not, you're an idiot. I mean, it's a subjective. It's an art, not a science, right? Grading is officially an art, not a science. That being said, with it, they sent it back for review, right? Is that my understanding? And they reviewed it, and it got a 9 again. So now you're at two people's eyes have looked at this, and the second person said, "Well, it's the centering." So you've got two PSA employees, and I suspect that the review people are a higher level. And this was a pretty big card, right? An Ohtani autograph. Yeah. So it's not like the minimum wage graders are looking at it the first time, I would guess. And if it's coming back for an express review, I'm pretty sure that it's not some schlub they just hired looking at it the second time. The second time they say, no, it's a 9. And then the graders' notes, which, centering, it's only the centering. Okay, well then you need to follow your own guidelines or change your guidelines. Like at this point, especially bordered cards, and I believe this was like a bordered card, right? It had like a distinct border.
Yeah, you
can see off centering. How many Marvel Universe cards did I send in that's like, these are perfect and they're within 60-40, but they're like, no. If it's not perfectly centered, 51-49, you're not getting a 10. if you're going to do that for those cards, you got to do that for every card. And it baffles my mind how centering should be the easiest thing out of the 4 major things.
It's measurable.
Right. It's absolutely measurable. So if it's within the 60-40, it shouldn't be an issue. It should be a 10. Whether, like you said, Mike, whether we agree it should be a 10 or not at 60-40, that's what they're saying it is. And that becomes a problem. But then you have, and you kind of did this too, Mike, you reached out to Nat Turner when your order got lost famously years ago. It seems like if you want something done at PSA, just tag Nat Turner. Like, it seems to be he'll be like, oh yeah, the close enough. Give him the 10. They must be my conspiracy hat, not just hat, not a helmet, because I don't think this one's that crazy. They're a big group submitter. Maybe you want to make that big group submitter happy. And maybe Nat Turner should have said, keep your effing mouth shut. Like,
that's what he should have said.
That's what he should have said. Like, what?
Okay,
what
we're going to do this,
doing?
but you need to just be quiet about this. We
Right.
don't want this getting around and other people doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's wild.
Again, it's grading. You can't tell me that it is 100% on the up and up. I will never, ever believe that. I don't ever believe that I don't know where the cards come from, who they are. You do. There are certain situations where you know where they came from because it's the only one of that card that came there. You know whose card it is. Right. Like, that's just not true to say they never know. Maybe on the bulk orders of all the modern stuff that everybody's sending in tens and thousands of them, maybe that, but somebody's coming in with a 52 mantle to get graded, you know whose card that is. Like, you can't say that you don't. And there has to be favoritism shown, whether it's intentional or unintentional. I feel like it is. Like you said, if the big group submitter, maybe they get more than what you and I would get. Like, seems like that would be normal of how normal businesses would function. If they're doing a lot of business with you, you're going to try to help them out. But when you're doing something that's supposed to be, like you're doing grading and you're assigning a number to it and putting a value on it, that it gets so tricky. And that's why all this, because it's an opinion, but their opinions can change based on the card and who it is.
Right.
I do think that PSA has really tightened up the centering, what they give a 10 now more so than maybe 10 years ago.
But that should reflect in their.
But it should, but they can't do that because if they do, they're like screwing all the other people that had 10s that it was 60-40. So there's so much of this that you worry about. Where is this going to lead to down the road? Like, is it going to get to a point where like there's no other way to say that, oh, this is all just objective, there's no subjectivity to it at all? Like, nobody believes that now, but you see stuff like this, and stuff like this piles up over the years. Like, grading is a scam. Yes, it is. We do it because it still adds value to it. And if you want to add value to cards, that's what you have to do. But you cannot, in any world, make the argument that everything is on the up and up and everything is treated equally. It's just not possible.
Yeah, I agree with you guys 100% that they're taking care of their one of their big whales. Like I'm not sure how much Grand Salami submits or whatever, but if you have somebody who's submitting hundreds of cards, like, you're going to probably take care of them. That said, like, and listen, for me subjectively, like, centering is a massive part of like a card looking good. Like, if my cards aren't like very, very close to 50-50, I don't send them in to get them graded. That just, to me, that's a big deal. And I feel like as much as grading is subjective, centering is very much not as a subjective thing. Grading is a number. You can use a ruler and use the numbers, and that can tell you how a card should be centered. And so, like, I feel like that's one thing that there shouldn't be. That shouldn't be a question. Like, there shouldn't be. If the grading says 60-40, if the rules say 60-40, there should not be some sort of like gray area with that, because it's 60-40. I don't think this makes them change their rules to 55-45 or whatever, which maybe that what it should be. Like, I feel like a card that's not centered well is not a 10. I agree with you guys on that as well. So I feel like there's a potential for a lot of stuff down the road, like Mike said. Yeah.
And they just did, sorry, Joe, they did a live stream on their Instagram on 10/10 because, you know, that's like now the 10/10 day is like a thing in our hobby. Okay. But
hashtag
Ryan Hogue was on there and he actually said they've been using AI as an assist for centering. So like they can't even, they have no excuse to not, like, it's either you use that if it's within 60-40, that is a 10 regardless, or it is like, it can't be, well, if it's a 90 Marvel U, then no, like it has to be this. And oh, this card though can be that. Like it can't be different. It has to be the same for every card. And it's not, because all you have to do is look at the cards that have been
right. Especially bordered cards. Like, that's the ones that really, really bother me. Like, you can like full bleed, you can kind of get away with that just because it's tough to tell what the exact center of that card is. So that's fine. Bordered cards are a whole different can of worms. And the graders notes, they need to say centering, you know, the reason that it's a 9 instead of a 10 is because of centering, and the centering is 6139 or whatever. Like it should have the number there if you're going to say the centering's off, because everything else you could argue. I mean, it's the only one that's objective is centering. Everything else is a subjective. You know, you're looking at the corners. Well, that corner is a little white, but not bad. Like you have to make those decisions in your head as a grader. Centering should not. It should, honestly, centering should be, you put it on a scanner, it scans it and it tells you what it is. And you're free and clear of any sort of like, oh, your grader sucks because he got the centering wrong. Actually, it's a machine that tells us. Like that should be the one that really there's no pause or question about. And that's what they're saying was wrong with this card. To your point way earlier, EP, poor customer service, man, because they're because you know people are dicks about grading anyway and complain all the time. This is going to make it worse if they see it, and it's just you feel those people are not paid enough. I've had some actually good experiences recently with eBay or PSA customer service, so I must say they take a lot of crap from a lot of people. So hopefully they can weather this storm, as it were.
The 60-40 thing is like an artifact of the past, right? When they're probably when they were thinking, you know what, they're going to send in 52 manuals. So if everything else is perfect, I mean, we can go get a little, you know, fuzzy with the centering, but not thinking that it's going to be today where we have all these cards are mass produced and well, every card is a 55-35. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and Ryan Hogue too. He in that live stream he had mentioned that. Now it sounds like the grader's notes may not be made available for like bulk and economy.
Damn it! I was going to say that,
but now you can kind of see why, because you don't. If you're saying there's nothing wrong with the corners and it's centering, and it's not within the and it is within the 60-40, you're going to have all kinds of people complaining. And one other little tidbit about that, he did say if it is available, it may be at an additional fee. Go figure. But you can tell why they don't want that for your economy order.
I am so upset I didn't mention this, because you know we talk about some of the topics that we're going to talk about, and I kind of think, oh, what I might say about some of them. This was one that I was like, I really need to get this out there, and it's more of, again, conspiracy hat instead of helmet, because I think this is kind of bearing itself out. I don't think they're going to offer graders notes for anything again. Like, I think a year from now, I wouldn't be surprised if graders notes are not available because of stuff like this, because you're putting way too much onus on those notes that if it's not perfect, if someone sees it and says, you know what, I need to see that centering, I need to see that it's 6139. Wait a minute, you said this corner. There's going to be so many things that they're going to lose their mind about, that I wouldn't be surprised if PSA says, oh, that was a fun experiment. Let's not do that again. It would not shock me a year from now if they don't have graders notes available at all for any level.
So what you're saying is it would be beneficial to PSA to give opinions on card grades, but never let you know what the opinion actually is or why.
Yep.
Boy,
that would be correct.
We kind of called that too, didn't we? When they first were talking about these, like, this is going to be such bad news, right? Like, this is for them, for PSA, like their customer service. We called it. Yeah.
People will use the graders notes against them.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, I maybe they are able to keep it at the upper level like that, but yeah, that's never. This is a good example why it is never going to be across all the levels, because they're just going to have,
and why they would charge for it, and why they would charge for it to balance out if they need to re-slab something because they got it wrong, because the graders notes say, oh, it's off-centered, and it's clearly not. Like, it's a little bit, what he called it before, insurance. Like, the upcharges are insurance. This is going to be like kind of their insurance for their screw ups by putting graders notes that don't bear out on the actual card. Right.
But if you think about it, PSA got the money from the initial grading, cha-ching. Then they got the express grading, cha-ching. And then have the extra publicity. Like they're I mean, people are, I mean, they're getting.
I wonder if they upcharged when they put it back to it. When they put it to a 10.
You don't think they didn't? You don't think they didn't? They better have. Yeah.
I bet you they were like, oh, you're right, it's a 10. You also owe us $300 more or whatever. Like, I'd love to hear so much more about this story.
Wow. Just grading, man. Grading.
Grading, man.
Well, speaking of grading, one of our other favorite grading companies is BGS, right? Well, recently there was a 1984 star Michael Jordan rookie card with an autograph on it. It was going for sale, I believe, last week on Golden. It was graded a BGS 7.5 with a 9 auto. It was graded in March of 2023, so just last year, like a year and a half ago. There's a person by the name of Wesley Greta. He is the owner, I guess, of Goat Authentics. It is an authentication company dealing with just Michael Jordan stuff. He is apparently one of the renowned experts on Michael Jordan autographs and stuff, and he saw the autograph on the card. And he saw some things that were off about it. He said the M looked like a combination of Jordan's and Jordan's secretary, and like the rest of it didn't match any of his normal signatures. And so he took the card and he sent it to the BGS Quick Opinion. Now, BGS is giving a quick opinion on an autograph card that they already have in their system as authentic and graded, and the quick opinion came back unable to render opinion. Oh, what are we doing?
I mean,
so there are a couple things here. First of all, let me just throw this one out here. If you have a company that is grading and authenticating autographs, you should really have a system in place that if somebody does a quick opinion on the one that you already have certified, that it should automatically say that it's legit, right? There should never be a world where your quick opinion people should be saying they're unable to render an opinion on a card that you already slabbed as authentic. Whether that's right or wrong, that just should be your business model. Take this gray area out of it. Like, deal with whatever the aftermath is separately, but don't have that happen. But yeah, whoever looked at that picture was unable to authenticate the autograph they authenticated.
To me, this is kind of like old news, because the same exact thing happened with my fellow Tom Brady collectors contenders. Like, BGS graded it authentic, auto 10, card grade, I think 7.5. And he went to reslap it, and they're like, "Ooh, we're not sure about this one." Now, he hasn't told me where the story has gone, unfortunately, and he asked me not to talk anymore about it, but he doesn't watch the podcast, so whatever. But so here we are again. I mean, it's the same thing. And I will say this: when you said it was graded in 2023, Mike, And you could see my face like, ooh, you know, like I'm not buying anything from BGS unless it was graded about 15 years ago. Like
or
legit
more,
when they or when they were like the industry leader, very respected, had all the top graders were with them. That's when I would probably buy a card from BGS. And I said in the video that EP boycotted for reasons passing understanding that one of the reasons that I sold that Brady contenders that I had was no, you boycotted being on it, jerk.
Yeah.
Anyway, that one. Okay.
Yeah, that one. The reason one of the reasons I said there was a non-zero chance that it could not be real because it's in a BGS slab, and I didn't want to take that chance. I didn't want to have that on me. You know, I didn't want to be the last one holding the bag on that. So, and that was actually graded a while ago. So I felt a little bit more comfortable with it, but still non-zero chance. Yeah, BGS, I would avoid, you know, probably for the best. Even thick cards at this point, send them to CGC or to SGC. Yeah.
Joe, great points. I loved it all. This story popped my head, got churning. My brain got churning on something we haven't talked about before that could be playing a role in these grading offices. Inter-office politics. Remember that time Frank graded that Star 84 Jordan with the auto and graded that auto good? Well, they sent it back. I'm going to make sure that it gets we can't tell. And then or so-and-so had created all these things 10s. They're not 10s. They're not 9s. They're all 10s. And I'm going to make them all 10s now. I just that's something that potentially could be happening, right? Like it's not something to think about, but there's that potential for that too, right?
Hey, you and I worked in offices a long time, EP. Yes, that is very much a possibility.
And here's another possibility. Maybe Frank got fired for authenticating fake Michael Jordan autographs, and they have them in slabs. They fired Frank, but they don't let anybody know that the slabs that Frank authenticated might not be real. Like, we don't know that the person that said that was real in March of 2023 is even with the company, or you know how good they were at doing their job. Like they could have been fired, and they could have been fired for that. You don't even know, and you wouldn't know. And again, this is the problem with grading, and especially with autograph authentication.
In-person autos are. I would never buy an in-person hand auto
unless I'm the one
be
done. Yeah.
Right. Like I need to be FaceTimed if someone's like, oh, I'll get an auto of so-and-so for you. I'm like, put it on FaceTime. I don't trust it. But that brings up another point too about like, I won't call them bad actors, but you've got folks like eBay and PSA through eBay who authenticate these things. You've got Golden who ostensibly should be kind of doing their due diligence on the Golden handles a lot of Michael Jordan autos, I'm sure. This didn't set up a red flag for them. Oh, it's in a BGS slab. We're good. Do a little better there. I think Beckett is the clear culprit in this for sure, 100%. But there are other, like Golden has no vested interest in making sure that auto is real because they'd lose a commission if
it's easy for them to go, oh, well, Beckett authenticated it. We don't have to worry about it. Yeah, let's make our money on it.
Same thing with the PMG. Sorry, P, but same thing about the PMG that new collector had bought at a good deal. I forget the young man's name, but Ben bought it at a good deal, and it went through authentication A-OK, which it got authenticated through PSA, and PSA was like through eBay. PSA was like, well, the slab's okay, so what do we care? So like everyone's just passing the buck until guess who gets screwed? Everyone, the collector, all the time.
Yep,
all the time.
Isn't it a admission that the autograph is fake if it says on the slab that it is real, but then they say they can't render an opinion? Isn't that kind of almost an admission that the autograph is fake, but they don't want to say it?
Yeah,
you have to think so. Yeah. Well, we're not saying it's fake, but we're not going to say it's real.
Right.
We're not going to put. I'm not going to put my signature on that shit saying it's real.
I didn't say that. Exactly I didn't say it was real. I didn't say it was real.
Yeah, but
if you're not saying it's real, you're saying it's fake, whether you're saying it's fake or not.
Right.
But here's a question for you: what percentage of autograph cards, in-person autographs that are slabbed by PSA, BGS. How many of them do you think are not authentic?
50%.
That's what I was thinking. 50%.
I was too.
Seems like a lot, right?
Absolutely was.
Seems...
I guarantee you, it is way more than people think, and way more than they want to think that it is. Because come on, autograph authentication is the hardest part of this. Like people can figure out how to write like somebody else, and if they do, and they can match it up, how do you know? There's no way to know. If I could copy EP's signature perfectly, nobody's ever going to be able to tell if he did it or I did it. Right. And that's just how autographs work.
And you can print out a certificate of authenticity on your home computer and say, "Oh no, this is an authentic one." You know what I mean? Like you could totally do that. Like
that's how they did it in the 90s. All you had to do was print out some kind of certificate.
And it's even worse today. Just think about this for a second. Ken Griffey Jr. would be impossible to fake, almost impossible. I'm sure someone could figure it out, but that would take effort. Let's say George Pickens turns into the next Jerry Rice, right? Line, dot, done. The people who just put their initials. Jay Hart, I think it's fun that he does it. Jordan Love, I think it's fun that he does it. You can't tell me that someone couldn't fake that like that. Yeah. Come on. It's getting worse because people aren't signing their names in cursive. I sound like an old man right now. Anthony Richardson, another great example.
It's not even big enough to be able to tell if there's any
tell, and you don't. There's no swooping motion. You just boop, 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 and you're done. That's what's even scarier. So for older athletes, maybe because they put a little the Jerome Bettis treatment to their auto, the Hines Ward, the Ken Griffey Jr., the Patrick Stewarts, you know. Nowadays, George Pickens is putting a dot and a line. Like, you can't tell me those aren't being faked more and more. I think the percentage goes up as we have more modern athletes signing stuff.
But it's 2024. There are way less scammers in the hobby now than there were back in the 90s. It's way easier to detect it, right? There's way less scammers.
Yeah. We have social media to call them all out. That deters people from trying it.
Right. Oh, my God.
Well, since
I need a drink.
Jesus. I wish I would have brought one too. Well, since we're on the topic of grading, we talked a little while ago about the Wilt Chamberlain that was found that graded an SGC 10. Beautiful card. Well, that card was recently crossed over to a PSA 10, and it was specifically crossed over. It was not taken out of the slab. It was crossed over and got a 10. I believe there are only like 3 or 4 PSA 10s now. Okay, so I'm going to throw the question out there. If PSA is not willing to cross over cards that I have that are worth like $50 or $100 because it's so difficult for them to really be able to tell the condition of a card in the slab, how in the hell are you going ahead and crossing over a Wilt Chamberlain rookie from there is no way that any high dollar card in a slab should ever be crossed over to any other company without that card has to be taken out and looked at before it can be graded a 10. There's no way you can tell in the case.
Corporate synergy. Just coming together for us.
As soon as that popped into my head, as soon as you did that.
Corporate synergy. They called someone over at SGC. Hey, we good? Yep. Okay. Done. That's what happened. That's exactly what happened. I guarantee you another grader.
Oh, I absolutely agree with that.
A grader did not look at that card. And first off, man, I thought SGC was the vintage leader. I mean, wouldn't you think you just won it in that SGC slab? Like, what's the difference in value? I'm curious. I'm sure a PSA 10 is more valuable, but still, yeah. It's all about the fact that they're one company. They are. I mean, that's not even a hot take. I mean, they're all under collectors. So Collectors Universe. So they're all one company. If this was CGC, it'd probably be a PSA 7 right now, right? I mean, they would look at it. They'd either say, no, we can't review it, or they would, if it was cracked, or the person said, oh, I don't care what it gets. There's no minimum grade, which you can select if you cross something over. it wouldn't shock me if they gave it a much lower grade. Yeah, this is all about who sent it in, or the slab it was in when the person sent it in.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, Joe. Like you said about them making the phone call, and they said, "Oh, no, SGC and PSA are going to stay it separate." They probably walked it over to somebody else on another part of the office, and just handed it to somebody over there in the PSA, side of the office or whatever. Mm-hmm. I mean, with the amount of cards they're grading now, I cannot believe that they don't have people working for both companies in multiple offices trying to get that stuff taken care of. So I wouldn't be at all surprised if that PSA person was in that office already, or somebody in that office works for PSA and said, "Oh yeah, that'll cross over to a 10," and then
they might have gone down to Florida to look at that card with the SGC grader. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that's completely possible too. Yeah, that's a good point. Or they have people that work kind of to what you were saying, EP, but maybe there's people that are just Collectors Universe employees. That wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah,
and they're kind of in both offices, and they
for just this kind of reason, for just this kind of card,
right. For this kind of stuff. Yeah, that wouldn't shock me either.
But if you sent like your head grader to Florida to look at the card at the same time and work with the SGC guy, if you're crossing this over, that should be known again.
Yeah.
If that's what you're doing, because you're telling everybody else it's incredibly difficult to cross over a card. I never consider sending anything in for crossover because they're not going to do it. And then something this high profile, they're like, "Oh yeah, this crossed over." Like, did it? Did you, or is it the other situation where your grader actually saw it in person with the SGC grader? You guys came to the grade on purpose. Like, let us know that. Like, don't put it out there, because now you're going to have people sending in higher dollar cards that get crossed over, and they're not going to be able to do it, and you're going to charge them for it anyway.
I think you're giving them too much credit, Mike. I really think it was a phone call. I really think it was a. Hey, is this card a 10? Yeah,
that's
it is.
Worse. That's worse.
I completely agree. Yeah. I think it is worse. That's why I'm saying I think you're giving them a lot of credit that their graders are looking at cards together and things like that. I really do believe it's just, SGC said it's a 10. We'll double check with them, but we'll just give it a 10 too. And also, who owns the card now? That plays a factor. We've talked about this before. Yeah. I mean,
as if they don't know whose card.
As if they don't know, right? They absolutely know who owns that card. So, yeah, that's. I famously go back to our first video, not episode 1. Go back to our first video where I cracked open a BGS 9 Tom Brady Topps Chrome card when it was at its height of value, because I knew it wouldn't cross over. But now, if you're an SGC guy, you talk about customer service before, EP, on a couple of topics ago. If you're one of the crossover specialists, if someone with SGC slab sees this, are they just sending in crossover and not even worrying about the crack? If they want to cross something over from a 9 to a SGC 9 to a PSA 9, are they just sending them off and saying, "Hey, make these PSA 9s"? I'm wondering if there's even don't do that. We need to actually look at them, or if it's just carte blanche. just yeah, sure. If SGC says it's 9, it's a PSA 9. Be very interested to see how that works out.
Yeah, I was gonna just like to your point, like customer service again is like, what are you guys doing over there? Like cracking open another bottle of vodka, they're drinking in the office. Like, oh my god, what are they doing to us?
They don't get anywhere near those people. They don't allow.
They're in a whole other building. EP, I wanted to ask you this when you were talking about your drinking night, and you kind of reminded me of it. Did you crack open that like $2,000 bottle of champagne?
No, that's still sealed.
Okay. Because I'll tell you who is cracking that $2,000 bottle of champagne. Someone who crossed that card over and got a 10, because God only knows how much value that probably increased it, right? I mean, you don't do it unless you know it's going to increase the value.
Yeah. So we determined EP is not the owner of the card, is what you're saying.
Yeah. He would have popped open that champagne for sure.
All right. Well, last week I said, like, what is Panini even doing with the WNBA cards? Like, the season's over and they're not doing anything. And they're like, hold on, Mike, we're getting to it.
We got you.
Now that the season's over, we're going to release a whole bunch of stuff. They are releasing Prism Monopoly WNBA.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I have to admit, I've opened my fair share of regular
not
NBA
as much as
Prism
Ziggy.
Monopoly. Not as much as Ziggy.
No one has
near.
opened. No one has opened as much as Ziggy.
But yeah, I'll probably open some of these, even though, I'm really just looking for Caitlin Clark. But I bet you I won't be able to find this in the local Targets like I was able to the regular NBA. I even found this year's NBA stuff, and I'm guessing I won't find any of the WNBA. And we also talked a little bit about the price of select WNBA. Was being pre-sold for $750 a box. Well, Panini, for the first off the line, released the pricing for the Dutch auction. They are starting it at $3,000 a box. Now the floor is $750, but they're starting it at $3,000. They must think that there are some people out there that are going to think, I better get it and pay like over $2,000 a box, right? Like, why else would they be starting it so high? They have to think that there's a market there, or at least they're going to test it to see if they do.
When we were talking about this, you said you threw it out to us on text about what do we think it gets to. And I think EP and I both said over 2,000. Like I could see it because there are right now very few options to get Caitlin Clark rookies in her uniform. We've said in the past, at least I have, I don't know if you guys have agreed, but I almost think that her Iowa stuff is kind of more iconic. So I wouldn't be offended like I wouldn't be offended if I was a Caitlin Clark collector, if I just went after the Iowa stuff instead. But it's the pro uniform thing. So it's going to be one of her first big pro uniform sets. People are going to go nuts for it. And it wouldn't shock me if it doesn't go below 2,000.
And breakers are going to go nuts for it.
Oh,
people that don't have direct accounts that want to break the product. Yeah, I can see it selling for over 2,000.
I really hope breakers don't do it by team. I hope they do it by random team. I'm sorry. I hope they do it by random team instead of pick your own team. I'm guessing they will for their own sanity because no one will buy any of the other teams. No offense to any of the other WNBA players. Don't get me wrong, but there's a couple. But it's Caitlin Clark's product. It's her product. So, yeah.
I think we talked about last week. I think it was last week, the Blue Viper 1-of-1 Caitlin Clark card that sold for like $49,000. Like, what's the 1-of-1 auto out of this gonna go for? Like that is why this price is so high, because there's gonna be 1-of-1s, there's gonna be autos, there's gonna be all these parallels.
The non-auto 1-of-1 will be the most valuable card. I would suspect that's usually how it works.
Well, I mean, I wonder if Caitlin Clark changes that. Just because of it's available. Like, but anyhow, I'm like the thought of that price, the thought of winning that lottery, is going to drive people to pay exorbitant prices for this product.
Yeah. And, we touched on the funny business that goes on with the distributors and the pricing and the price fixing. I'm interested tomorrow because Run Good Life is dropping a video on Tuesday where he's going to call this out. We've been talking about this forever. I was talking about last year, I believe it was Immaculate WWE, how it was ridiculous. Everything, the distributors are setting the market price before the market even has a say in it. Panini is using their market price that's set by the distributor as their market price for the stuff before the market even has a chance to set it. I noticed it specifically last year because shortly after Immaculate came out, all of a sudden the box prices from the distributors were like $200 higher, all of them at the same day going up the same amount, even though the product wasn't hot, but they were manufacturing that it was. And he's coming out with a video claiming that he's going to be pointing out this price fixing stuff. I'm glad that there's finally somebody else on YouTube who's willing to talk about this stuff, because we've been talking about it. We've been seeing it go on for a good part of 2 years now. This is price fixing. I don't care what anybody wants to say, how they want to defend it. Like, the distributors are setting the market. They're not selling a product at the suggested retail and then it's popular and then they're raising the price. They're starting out at that higher price. So they're making a ton of money off it. And in turn, they're allowed to helping Panini make a ton of money on it. That stinks to high heaven. Like, this is all coordinated. There's no way it can't be. And it's lining all of their pockets, Panini and all the distributors.
Yeah, it's nice that, you know, some folks have finally joined the party. I won't complain that it took them this long to get here. I'll just be happy they finally showed up, right? So thank you. Hopefully some folks.
I mean, I don't know. He may have been talking about it before too. Like, it seems to be a thing. So I don't watch enough of his content. I watch it here and there, but I don't watch it religiously. So this may be something he's been on to.
We even talked about it with the Marvel Metal Avengers. You know, everyone pulled it from the market, right? And then was like, hey, the next day, let's relist it. And wildly, to the penny, all of them had it at the same price again. So yeah, of course there's price fixing. Anyone who thinks otherwise is just plain wrong, you know? So yeah, it's crazy about that. But again, this is one of those products that is just, it's going to consume the hobby, right, for the next couple of weeks. I would suspect. Like, absolutely. And you made the point about it coming out after the season. You know, I'm okay with it because it's so, like, technically the playoffs are still going on. So I'm not as offended by this. And they're all going to be in pro uniforms, I would assume. That's my mistake. I apologize when half the players are still in their college uniforms, but I would assume they're all in their pro uniforms. So it's that catch-22 of, do you want early products and complain that Donruss Elite has players in their college uniforms? Or do you want to wait for products and get everyone in pro uniforms, but complain you have to wait? I mean, at least it came out before the next WNBA draft, which I guess is progress.
This is another example of the hobby sending out a signal to federal regulators saying, hey, look what's happening here. Right? Like this. I mean, if they got their nose in there, dug in, they would probably figure this kind of stuff out. And just like there's just so much stuff in this hobby that has the potential to be regulated, you know, by the government, and they're just they don't even care because they're making tons of money, right? Like that's all that matters.
Right, we'll pay the fines. We'll pay the fines.
Yeah, right.
If someone comes after us, we can. It's like an oil company, you know. Yeah, we don't have to be safe. We'll just pay the fines if we spill into the Atlantic Ocean. It's way, way cheaper than actually fixing our fleet, so to speak, right?
Joe, why don't they just take the women after they're drafted, put them in a jersey, put up a big black curtain, and take a picture? And then they would have them in uniform.
Have we seen the cards yet? Maybe that's what
maybe that is. It's so great.
That would be great. So great. Wouldn't it be awesome though if Caitlin Clark was in front of the same Wemby curtain? Like,
that would be great.
Oh my god!
If Panini wanted to just F with the people complaining about stuff, that would turn those into the two most iconic card. You know, for each of those like stud rookies, it would turn those cards iconic.
I would pay $2,000 for the chance to get that. All right. Well, you know, we're nearing the end of the podcast, and we haven't talked about anything that Topps Now has done. So I want to get this out here because
our weekly update.
This was right after we did the podcast last week that Topps Now released a first postseason home run base relic, not base like a base card, but base like an actual base on a baseball field. But
can you explain this in a little more detail? What are these bases you speak of?
I'm not quite getting it. What
they have these like things, they're like square, and they put them on the ground. They're kind of puffy. They're bigger than they used to be.
Oh, you mean the pillows they run to and step on?
Yeah, the pillows. Yeah. But they apparently did not have any autographs in it, but they have a number of different parallels from the base of the base being 125 and all the way down to a 1 of 1. And they sold them for $599.99 a pack.
What's that
now?
now?
You get one of the relic cards, but there are no autographs, and you don't know which of the numbered ones you're going to get. I'm honestly surprised because they're only like 300 and some total. I mean, at the base, so you can't make. I was surprised you could make that many out of a base, but
top and bottom side, like
but they're only making like 200,000 on that. Like I kind of thought maybe they would just put like a base, non-base card in too, and then they could have sold like millions of them and made way more money. So bravo
about the collector.
Good job for selling these for $600 instead. That's the weekly Tops Now update.
What's the significance of the base? Like what of this specific base? Is it the one he got the 50th steal?
I'm assuming it was from this is from his first. No, it's not. It's the first postseason home run card.
Yeah, but it better be one of the bases from that game, though, right? Like it better not be just a
I'm assuming
base.
it is, but I can't say for sure. I don't know. I feel like it should be, but I don't know. Maybe it wasn't. But what are we gonna? This is where we're at with the Ohtani stuff. Like it's a first time he ties his shoe when he gets a new pair of cleats card. Oh, great. First
don't
time
give them any more ideas
in a game card. Like
you're making it worse, Mike. You're giving them all these great ideas that they probably already have on a whiteboard.
They probably have.
The Ohtani thing, and I think it was you, Mike, who said this, and I'm getting there now. I think I completely agree with you. The next Mercury set is Ohtani. I mean, they've telegraphed the shit out of that. I mean, that's clearly going to be the next one if they do another one. And from the looks of the sales of the Wembanyama, or however you pronounce it, they're gonna do another Mercury set. There's no doubt, as well as this is sold. And the Tops Now thing, I am kind of surprised they didn't try and gouge the collector even more. Only $600. By the way, it's the same base. All the cards are from the same base, right?
Yeah.
Who gives a crap what numbered one you get? By the way, if you were buying these on the secondary market, what's the difference? Like this manufactured scarcity of these cards, it's not a different base. He didn't like kiss the part of the 101, right? Like he didn't like go down and lick the dirt off, right? Like, what's it matter what part of the base it is? If it's me, what's the highest numbered out of 125? I think you said.
Yeah, 125.
Give me the 125 one. I don't care if I was buying this on the secondary market. So when your buddy Rob buys one EP, tell him to wait for the out of 125.
Is this our new This Week in Tops Now Ohtani cards update of the week? Like our new segment that we're going to do.
I like to give a Tops Now update when we can.
Tops Now update. I love it.
Yeah, for as much as we are applauding them, they're still printing $200,000. I think it was you said the estimate was $200,000. Still printing $200,000 like that. They're just pushing a button and go get in the space or whatever. Like and
I wouldn't be surprised if that base is part of the deal that he made with the MLB. Like I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't pay anything extra. It's not like they had to go to the market and buy the space. Would it shock you if it was like, if I need memorabilia from games, that's part of the deal. You give me memorabilia from games.
That could be, yeah.
Like the way he works with these different leagues, that's why he's on another level, with this stuff. So it probably is legit just the printing cost at this point, because he's not paying for any extra autographs from Ohtani. I mean, but this is so much. It's Franklin Mint, right? It's, again, I keep saying this, we're turning the hobby into Franklin Mint. And B, we are flooding the hobby with Ohtani stuff, like flooding it to the point where how many years before all this stuff is worth a third, a quarter, a tenth of what it's selling for, because there's just so much. The Wembanyama Mercury stuff, I mean, yeah, it's hot right now. It's very expensive if you put stuff on eBay, but every card is Wemby. You're flooding the market with all this stuff. If everything's a Herbert, nothing's a Herbert. That Mercury stuff and the Ohtani stuff proves my point. Like it can't. Its values are not going to be able to hold.
The one thing I would say though is this is kind of unique with the base. The problem is if they sell $200,000, they're not going to stop with just one, right? Like that's the thing. Like this one is unique because it's a base.
It's sold out like right away too.
Yeah.
So
it's
for a relic card. Like you there, you look up the stuff from the 90s. Like, you could buy this stuff for like $2 for a star Hall of Fame player.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're charging $600 for one. I don't know. It's crazy.
You could probably get a piece of a Super Bowl jersey card.
Yeah.
From an MVP player for cheaper than some of this stuff is going for at the chance of the 101. So if the worst card you get is out of 125 and that's $5.99 and people are buying it for the chance for the 101 or lower numbered ones, what's that mean the 125 is going to be worth in a month? Is it going to be worth $100? Like, because this is the 10-cent card, right? EP, we talked about, all those, the USA card. We talked about the 50-50 cards. Those base cards are those 10-cent cards. These out of 125 are now that equivalent. So I'm curious what those are going to drop to. Are those going to be in $50 boxes, $20 boxes? Like, if you're chasing that 1 of 1 or out of 5 or whatever, like, these are going to be worth a lot less than what the $5.99.99 you're paying.
Oh yeah, especially look ahead like 10 years from now, maybe. Like, you think about that 10 years from now, like that is very potentially, they're the $2, $3, $5 cards. Maybe not for these because how expensive they are to buy them originally, but $10. I mean, I could totally see them going for $10 in 10 years or 15 years.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of things going down, I have a couple quick little hitter here for you. In 2020, a collector pulled a Zion Williamson Prism 1 of 1 in a break. And it was graded, they got it graded a PSA 10, and they sold it for $111,211. That card sold in December of 2023. Do you want to take a guess at what it sold for in 2023? Now, it was originally $111,000.
$21,469.69.
If I was betting, I'd bet the under. I'll just say $19,225.
$6,750. It was a cool $104,461 loss in 3 years' time.
Wow. Oh, that just gave me the shivers. Jesus God almighty.
That's got to make some people feel better about some of their losses from the pandemic, because that has to be close to a record, right?
You're welcome, everyone.
Yeah. Holy crap.
Yeah. That's really, really gross. Good on him for selling it too, by the way. We talk about this a lot, and we made a joke about the Black Jade Wolf folks who held who have been holding that Luca. Now, I obviously don't watch that kind of stuff, but I wonder what they were offered and what it would sell for. And Luca, famously better than Zion, but like, it's interesting, like the smartness, not a word, I don't think, but the smartness of that guy selling that card when he did, he or she did, and now looking at it years later and like, whew, I really killed it on that one. That's they let you buy him back. It'd be awesome if he was the one.
And remember the kid that pulled the Mac Jones 1 of 1? What did he get? $100,000?
Yeah, $100,000 for that.
That's probably not even worth $100 now. What's that worth? It's not worth $1,000. Like,
he just got sacked in the Bears game as the backup quarterback to Trevor Lawrence. That's where he's at now.
Yeah, sell it when you have the opportunity to make that kind of money. But wow, just a little. I want to throw one more little thing out here. We're really short on time, but in the Topps Disney UK release that is coming out, Topps is releasing something called Super Strength Chrome. They are the thickest Chrome cards ever made. They're being used for like an insert set that is called Super Strength Chrome.
First off,
what are we doing?
You said they are being used for. I really wanted you to say coasters. But
well, they could be.
They could be.
I'm sure they would work well because they're super thick.
Or bases. They could be used for bases.
They could be. They need to be a little bigger though. Like the thickness might be good.
Like tape a bunch of them together, and there you go. I mean, making cards thicker is not innovation.
I just kind of feel like I'm bringing
chrome.
this up because I feel like this won't be the last we see of this. I feel like it's foreshadowing, other products that will be released. Yeah.
Like when they have other licenses that they're going to be acquiring,
baseball and everything. Yeah, it's going to be an
Marvel
next year.
It'll be a Marvel.
Oh, it'll definitely be Marvel. Super strength chrome, and they called the insert set that.
My main question is, will this fix the chrome warping problem?
You just have a bigger piece.
I was just gonna say it's just a bigger piece of card.
Can't even get in the top loader anymore.
Oh wow. All right, guys, we're gonna wrap things up there. That was a good chat this week, and I will see you next week. Take care, guys.
See you, boys.
Adios.